Hey, it's Benjie Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And people, on the line with us today, we have Gregory Oliver. Now, I'm going to put a little shameless plug here. I know they didn't ask for it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm really looking forward to this, guys, because Greg is the husband of a previous author that we had on the network. Her name was Bonnie Oliver, and we discussed her book, Faith Walk, on a previous interview, and now we're going to be continuing the story with Greg today. Now, his name is Gregory Oliver, and his book is Walking Free, From Bondage to Liberty, available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, or directly through his personal site, GregOliverWalkingFree.com. There you'll find more information on him, more information on this fantastic book, as well as find the hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing pages. So one more time, his personal site is GregOliverWalkingFree.com. You know, and Greg was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best publishers in the business, Good River Print and Media Publishing. So if you or anybody you know out there has a book that you'd like moved, give yourself the best gift you could possibly give and contact our great friends over at Good River. You can find out more information on them at goodriverprintandmedia.com. This book is so much deeper than the prison system. It's so much deeper than race. And Greg is the expert. He's going to be able to articulate everything much better than I ever could. And I promise you, by the time we finish this interview, you're going to be running to Amazon, to Barnes & Noble, or to GregOliverWalkingFree.com, and you're going to purchase your book because it's that impactful. Greg, first and foremost, man, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you today?
I'm fine, Benji. Thank you very much for having me on and having my wife on earlier.
Of course.
And it's just a pleasure to be able to talk to your viewers and the people that's listening in right now. Absolutely.
Listen, Greg, it was an honor having your wife Bonnie here on the line with us, and the story that she was telling us, right? And not even story, because story has a connotation that it's fictional. There was nothing fictional about what she was talking about. And it was absolutely heartbreaking, man. It's so disheartening to know that this is the society that we live in. And of course, not everybody experiences things in the same way. So we want to take that into consideration. But it was profound having her on. And then when we had the opportunity to showcase your book, it was a no-brainer, man. We absolutely had to do it. Now, Greg, before we go into your book, before we learn about everything else that you're talking about here, tell our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
Yes, Benji, I grew up in the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri, and I really grew up with some real good parents, actually. Parents that tried to teach us and train us up and do the things that we need to do. I remember my dad used to take me out with him to the banks, and I didn't realize what he was doing. He would take me out and say, "This is my son, my oldest son. And I want to just kind of, just show him off a little bit." And he would do that. And I didn't realize it, but years later, it dawned on me what he was doing. He was teaching me business. And my dad was a businessman. He was a preacher. And he was showing me how to interact with people and deal with people in situations, which was good. And it's just, but growing up in the inner city, I went through everything that the inner city youth would have to go through. Struggles and different things like that. And one of the things my dad and mom used to always say, "Hey, watch the people that you're hanging around and associating with." And, I had a few friends, but, sometimes, they would screen them to make sure that I wasn't getting around people that was not good, that was going to lead me in a wrong path. So we wanted to make sure of that. But I grew up in the inner city of St. Louis, eventually ended up I went to grade school, and then turned around and went to high school, but I got my GED later, and I went on to the military. And I spent 6 years in the military. So I just, know that I had a plan to do something. I started to stay in the military and make a retirement plan from that, but I eventually ended up and wanted to try my hand at business. So I started a moving and hauling business and a cleaning service. And it was going pretty good. I even did some tree cutting. I was, like multifaceted, able to do more than one different thing, And that was something that I realized that my dad had taught me. Sometimes as I was growing up, he would work with us and show us how to handle the situations, how to use the tools and different things like that, And it was just, just an awesome way of showing. One of my brothers, his company has made real well. Mm-hmm. And I have another brother that I helped him get a building, and he's doing mechanical business. So we have, really developed from that. But when they threw me in prison, all of that was destroyed. And I just wanted to leave it at that point right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Greg, that's a fantastic segue to establish. And before we move on to anything else, I just want to take an opportunity and thank you for your service, man. We here in this country, we are forever indebted, of course, to the sacrifices that you made to protect our liberties, man. So thank you very much for your service. We appreciate that. And Greg, without further ado, let's jump right into your book, man. Walking Free from Bondage to Liberty. Tell us a little bit more about your narrative.
Walking Free, I didn't end up and write it. It was in me. Through the time that I was in the prison setting, I wound up being thrown in prison for the crime of a mentally ill brother. His name was Ronald, and he died in prison, by the way. But
so sorry.
And under suspicious circumstances. But I thank God that he told me, you're going to go around and share your story. I knew this, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. One of the things that encouraged me during the course and time I was in the prison setting was reading other people's stories and seeing how they have went through struggles and come out and they overcome them. And I say, man, this is powerful. And I know that I had to share this message with other people to let them know that, hey, no matter what you're going through in life, no matter how hard it may seem or how dire the situation is, you got to realize that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You might not see it right now, but when that light appears, you need to know that light is going to be there for you to make sure that you come out. Because I was given a living death sentence, a life without running wild with a life sentence, running two different directions. You're never, ever supposed to see the light of day, simply because a head prosecutor was angry at my granddad that tried to communicate with him, and he lied to him, which he shouldn't have. He told him he was the senator, Jet Banks, a powerful senator in the Missouri area. And this prosecutor got so angry, he said, because you've done this, I'm going to make sure that your grandsons never see the light of day. So he took it up on himself to make a vendetta out of this rather than looking at the evidence. And when you go through and see how they handled my case and my brother's case, forcing me and him to trial together, him not being able to be competent at trial, you could see that they were just breaking every rule, every law. It's just like if you're playing a game. If you break every rule and every law in the game, then you're not really winning. You're cheating.
Right.
And so that's what was going on. And they rigged the case against me to make me responsible for the acts of a mentally ill person, which right now we're seeing a lot of that unfolding in our society today when we don't know how to handle the mentally ill people in our society. So they want to take the guns away from people. That's not the answer. We need to find the true answers and deal with those real answers. And that's something that's key. One of the things that inspired me to write Walking Free was the fact that, I knew that you could see guys get released from prison and they'll walk out because maybe the Innocent Project or somebody came along and helped them out. But the Lord impressed on me, he said, Greg, I sometimes move in steps and stages. And I didn't know what he meant, but steps and stages meaning that you're walking, you're moving, and the steps that you take, and he's making a decision, and he's moving, and he's touching people, and he's guiding people, and he's accomplishing things because he's able to do greatly abundantly above what we even ask or think. And God did this in my life by saying, this is why I want you to tell a story and let people know about walking free. Because when I move in steps and stages, each step of the way, I impart something in you that's going to be beneficial to help somebody else. It's not just about relieving you out of a situation, taking you out with a miracle, and then you going out and you're not really able to really help anybody. You might help a few, but God wants to help more. In our society, there's over 2 million people in our prison system, 200,000 being 10%, according to their statistics, that 10% of those are innocent. That's too many. That's too many. I was just studying the other day, and 150 people have actually been executed that they know to have been innocent. They was crying about 50 people dying in a tractor trailer that came over in our country, who came over shouldn't have been here. But I thank God that if we allow these type of people to die in our prison system and do nothing, then there's something more deeper and something more wrong than we think. Mm-hmm. And we need to correct these problems. I remember talking to a news guy many years ago. He came into the prison. They wanted me to speak on the issue of faith in the prison setting. And I was sharing some of these same things I'm talking to you about, and he said, "Oh man, we got some good stuff here." But I think his boss didn't let him put it out there at that particular time because I don't know if the timing was right or they was afraid of the backlash that they would get from powerful people. Mm-hmm. That's something that's vitally important. I don't want to, take too much away from this. I want you to ask me the questions that's necessary so I can get into what you want me to get into.
No, listen, we love it, Greg. Thank you very much for everything that you've articulated so far, man. This is profound, and the rabbit hole goes deep. Now, Greg, I know one of your chapters you wrote about is specifically about bullying. Now, I want to touch up on that. Talk to us a little bit more about that chapter and why you felt it was important to incorporate it into your book.
One of the reasons I felt as though the state of Missouri, not everybody, I think too often we don't want to do the hard work and we blame the whole system as being corrupt. I disagree with that. I believe that the system is an inanimate object. It cannot be corrupt. What it is the people we allow into the system who corrupt the system. And so what happened is bullying. They bullied me into prison. They took an opportunity, we're going to bully this in prison. That's what they did. I had dealt with my bullies early on when I was young. I did some boxing in my day, so I knew how to fight. And so I'm saying, well, wait a minute, I can't let y'all just take my freedoms from me like this. Mm-hmm. And I knew it. When the Lord spoke to me and told me that the case was rigged, I knew in my heart I had to fight. That they had rigged the case against me to make sure that I spent all of these years in prison, and they wasn't intending on letting me out. Thank God he sent someone across my path to be able to help and to fight on the outside, because seeing that we live in a society that's mostly caught up on class, once you locked up in the prison system, you become a different class. You become a class of your own. Nobody hears you. Nobody really want to listen to you. You can write letters and many times, you might get somebody that are listening, and if they listen, they have to become a voice for you because your voice means nothing. Your rights have been stripped. A lot of people cry about the Second Amendment rights. Every innocent person that's sitting in our prison systems today, Second Amendment rights have been stolen. Every innocent person that's sitting in our prisons today that have been not allowed to reproduce children, their children's birthrights have been stolen and robbed from them. Every innocent person that has lost every type of situation that we can think of, the rights that they have taken, the right to speak, silence, they just took that from them. And so they can say, oh, well, we was just trying to break a few eggs to get these individuals off the street. But if you take the 200,000 innocent people you got in the system out, you have enough room to put criminals away. This needs to stop. And I think that we have failed that, and walking free will help people to realize we have a lot to walk free from. Bullying. I did say one thing about the issue on bullying, which was they used the term. I think we have let the bully slip through the cracks. We even have our media a lot of times say, well, yeah, the president need to use his bully pulpit. I said in that chapter, no, I think our president is called to lead the country and not bully the country. Mm-hmm. We don't need a bully. We need a leader. And that's what the problem is. And I think that sometimes our mentality has failed to that bullying type situation. We have children that commit suicide because they're being bullied at school. A lot of the children go in and then a bully. I was telling a young lady today as I was passing one of my cards to her about the book, and I told her, I said, look, these children, if they being bullied in school, a lot of times they'll go back, get a gun, come back to school, and then they shoot all these other children in the school. Why? Because they've been bullied. The real issue is we need to deal with the issue of bullying. But that takes work. We have to stop being lazy and do the work that's necessary. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the whole problem. I work with guys in the prison. 2 days before that shooting took place in the school recently, that just happened down in Texas, I had a guy in my car. I'm an Uber driver and I drive. And I had a guy in my car, and he was upset at somebody who was going to go get his gun, and he was going to take care of it. I said, what the heck are you talking about? And I had a chance to tell him about my book, and I told him about my story and what I've been through. And he said, you been through all that? I said, yes. I said, man, you don't want to go and get no gun. If somebody's messing with you, if they come to your house, you got the right to protect your home and your dwelling and anything inside your house. But you have no right to go looking for somebody. This man said, I'm so glad I'm in the car with you. He changed his mind and decided to do something different. We can deal with the issue of bullying, but we have to have the courage enough to speak up. And a lot of times when some students speak up, usually when a child go back to that school, they don't mess with that child. They'll bypass them. And we have seen this time and time again, but they always talk about the telltale signs, and they want to look and see if whether or not they can find a way to stop these things beforehand. Yes, you can. Deal with the issues you know. Deal with the bullying. Deal with the other issues that we need to walk free from. I'm going to cut it on that, though, Benjie, if I can go on.
Listen, Greg, I know you can, man, and your passion is absolutely enticing, right? People, listen, if this hasn't moved you, I don't pinch yourself, man. There is so much going on here. There is so much happening behind the scenes, and we, like Greg said, we need to wake up, and we need to do the work ourselves. A lot of times we become lazy and we just let it go. It's within our controls. Things need to change. Greg, last question, man. As we close out, what's next for you? I mean, is there another book on the horizon? Talk to us about what's upcoming.
Yes, Bonnie and I are working on the cover for it, and I usually wouldn't tell people, but I might as well put it out. If anybody tries to take the name, I guess I can always adjust it. But the title of the book that I'm working on is called There's a Method to the Madness. And I think that book needs to be reached out as well, because there is some situations and things that we need to bring out and we need to show, and I thank God for him giving me the opportunity to bring Walking Free out of me. Bonnie kept saying, hey, when you going to write the book? I say, I'm going to write it. And, it's good to have a good woman to get behind you and motivate you to do the things you need to do. And I did. I began to say, hey, I need to get it written and finished. And I'm thankful that I did, because so much has happened and transpired since then that it's just like every door just seemed to be opening up, and what a blessing that is.
Mm-hmm. Listen, Greg, what you've embarked upon is profound, man. As unfortunate as this circumstance, of course, was, and nobody should ever have to encounter the predicament that you had found yourself placed in. But the fact that you were dealt those cards, you used it to your advantage, man. And what you're doing now through this book, through the upcoming book, and anything else that you have, your story is going to be one of inspiration and is really just going to create awareness, which I think a lot of times when we start to now focus on it, we're more aware of it, we can really start to dismantle some of those things slowly but surely. I'm an optimist, so of course that's what I'm hoping for. But this book is profound. People, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Greg Oliver, WalkingFree.com are the places you have to go. Walking Free from Bondage to Liberty is the title you have to pick up. And Gregory Oliver is the author you have to thank for bringing it to your table. While you're at it, look into his wife's book as well, Bonnie Oliver, Faith Walk, A Walk from Darkness to Light. These books are profound, and you're going to want to get involved in all of that. And then from there, It's really about changing your awareness now, shifting it towards everything else that's happening in our society. And how do we dismantle it?
Yeah.
Greg, thank you very much for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction, man. It was truly a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you for inviting me to come on, and thank you for the work that you're doing, because I believe strongly, and I'm an optimist as well, and I know without a doubt that we can make the difference. One person, Bonnie, proved that when she came into there, she didn't walk away. She saw something, she said something, she did something. She didn't just stop.